Thank you for joining us this afternoon, and welcome to the 2020 edition of our Health Wildcatters Pitch Day. It's great to have you all here joining us, despite the fact that we're once again on a Zoom, but I promise these will be worth your while to see these startups present today. My name is Hubert Zajcek. I run Health Wildcatters, and I've had the pleasure of doing so since we got this started about 7 years ago. And my partners here at Health Wildcatters are Dr. Clay Heighton, Carl Soderstrom, Gia Garcia, and Dr. Harshal Broker. I have the incredible pleasure of working with Lindsay Settles every single day. And Lindsay has, as many of you know, been with us for several years, but she's absolutely blown it out of the water this year. So Lindsay, thank you so much. Everything you see that's happening here that works, it's because of her. If it doesn't work, this is the user error on my side. And also, of course, we have Lance Manning, who has overseen our hackathons over the last year and a half. I know many of you have seen this slide, but I can't go anywhere without that slide, literally and metaphorically speaking. We've had the generous support of so many sponsors in our organization that it's really, we're counting ourselves very, very lucky. This year, we added Texas Health Resources to that group, and many of the other logos you've seen before, new ones are coming and joining us. And so it's been a tremendous pleasure to work this year on Health Wildcatters projects together with the assistance of all these great organizations. And the backbone of our operation, as you know, are our mentors and investors. Nothing would happen, full stop, nothing would happen would it not be for our mentors and our investors. So usually I make everyone stand up. I'll spare you that, mentors, because nobody can see you. But know that it's meant and it's felt, and know that the startups know that too. And it's the most special piece to be able to introduce them to one of you and see what great things can happen after that. For those of you who are keeping count, we are at our 77th startup now. So we've got over 70 startups that we have invested in. They come from 28 states. Now we're way above $100 million invested in the Health Wildcatters portfolio startups. These startups are saving lives and creating returns for our community and far beyond. Health Wildcatters is all about mentorship and education, an environment and workspace that is conducive to innovation and success for startups. And of course, the fundraising and business resources that every startup needs to become successful. At the back, the core of our program is a 12-week program that is now concluding, even though it really is the beginning for the startups. The formal portion of the program has now concluded. We, as you know, invest a small amount of money at the beginning in these companies. In some cases, we double down on them. And we have done this year, a lot better ability to measure the mentor meetings because they're happening on Zoom. And so we know that we have in far in excess of 300 meetings facilitated just in this 2.5 months or so that the startups spent time with us. Now this year, notably, very few miles were traveled. Most distinguishedly is our traveling pitch practice, where I got to visit with the startups. USPS saw an uptick in business from us because if we can't hand you a T-shirt or a thank you, we have to send it by mail. So we have probably a lot more than 65 packages sent to our startups and to our supporters, and we continue to send these out in lieu of being able to hand them to you as a thank you. This year in 2020 was definitely quite a bit different. We're covering 6 time zones, all the way from Israel through Spain and the whole continental United States. On the achievement list is Zoom master status, most notably Lindsay, but I think all of our startups have had a lot of training and have had a lot of opportunity to get really good at that. And as you might have seen in the slides before, we have had a traveling pitch practice, which simply meant if we can't all meet here at our facility in Dallas, then we took the pitch practice to the road and visited the respective startups in their hometowns on Wednesday and broadcast the pitch practice from there. A couple of things just on the 2020 year for us. It's been a banner year, a lot of firsts for us. On the hackathon side, it's been our third hackathon, but it was our first women-only hackathon called Women in Science and Healthcare Hackathon, supported by the SBA and SoGal. So that was a hackathon that took place in February, and was a lot of fun. Over 100 participants came up with new solutions in healthcare. In May, we did not cancel our MedVentures investment conference, but we brought it online as one of the first healthcare investment conferences in the country that was not amongst those that all get serially canceled, but rather brought it online on Zoom and had over 10 startups present. I think it was 11 startups present, 30 speakers. It was a great conference. Obviously, it was one of the first on Zoom, but it achieved its objective, and we were able to pull forward from that. So MedVentures will come back in 2021, hopefully in person. In June of this year, we had our first NASDAQ IPO with Lantern Pharma. So that was a big event for us, and obviously for our region. We hope to add many more, but I won't discriminate. I'll take New York Stock Exchange IPOs as well and other good exits. So Lantern was our first, and so great for our region once again to have that accomplished, amongst with many other successes that you've seen this year in our region, whether it is fundings like OncoNano or Taysha or other public offerings. And last but not least, this year in the spring and summer time period, I started something called the Health Hacking Crisis Network that was really designed to be a rapid reaction force to help our region, but most notably not just the region, anyone with anything that might be needed if things got worse. And that was a very, that hit close to home for me, the whole COVID crisis when it emerged. And I realized that we have at our hands many people who are not just able, but also willing to help make a difference in our community. So that was our Health Hacking Crisis Network, and many more projects. This is now a 501c3 organization, many more projects that we're working on. But now it's time to turn our attention to our startups. And we're going to, with one exception, we're going east to west, starting in Israel, ending up on the West Coast. So doing a quasi-geographical journey, but it's not so quasi because the startups are indeed in those locations this moment, and they will be broadcasting from Israel and Spain and East Coast and West Coast and so forth. So our first presenter is Iluria Health, and I will unshare my screen. Iluria will be introduced by Dr. Venkat Reddy. And once he's, there we go. Dr. Reddy, I don't know you, but there we go. There's Hage.
Hello, can I start?
Can't see you right now. Do you have a camera as well?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Well, take it away either way. So I'm gonna, there you go. We see you now. Thank you.
Yes.
Dr. Reddy, welcome. And please introduce Iluria for us. Thank you.
Hello, I am Dr. Venkat Reddy, a consultant neurodevelopmental pediatrician from Cambridge, England. I lead a team that provides services for children with ADHD and autism. I'm interested in the use of artificial intelligence in developmental disorders. I'm a board advisor to Iluria Health and AI lead for another company called Future Perfect Healthcare. I'm a clinical advisor to Academic Health Science Network in Cambridge. It is a great honor for me to introduce Iluria Health. As a practicing clinician, I'm frustrated by the lack of objective measures for ADHD. Iluria Health is developing a machine learning algorithm that uses biomarkers from wearables to monitor ADHD symptoms continuously. This has the great potential to revolutionize ADHD care and result in great cost savings. Iluria Health is led by a fantastic leadership team with the personal lived-in experience of ADHD. Here to pitch on behalf of Iluria Health, Haggai Levy. Take away, Haggai.
Thank you very much. Great, I hope you can see my screen. So thank you very much, Venkat, and hi everyone. My name is Haggai Levy. I'm the founder and CEO of Iluria. Iluria is a digital health company focusing on attention deficit hyperactive disorder. And for those of you who are not familiar with it, ADHD is considered to be a chronic disorder with short-term attributes of inattention, hyperactivity and impulsivity, and some other severe long-term implications if not properly treated. Please meet Elad. Elad is my 10-year-old son. He was diagnosed with ADHD at a very, very young age, and it was almost impossible to manage his treatment as we could never assess whether the medical treatment was effective or not. And Elad is not alone. 1 in 10 kids are diagnosed with the ADHD, and the treatment is almost completely trial and error based. And the reason for that is that after the initial diagnosis starts a never-ending calibration process as our physiology is changing. And this stage is completely trial and error based using manual subjective questionnaires, same as it was 20, 30 years ago, with very poor clinical outcomes and enormous cost, which results from this volatile process, as not all of the extra costs can be covered and billed for. And this is the market failure we're trying to solve. We are developing a solution which will deliver objective and continuous monitoring. And the basic idea is to analyze physiological markers. The system retrieves physiological markers basically from any smart commercial device. And then we mathematically analyze these markers to deliver various analysis reports to the different stakeholders. I would say a few words about the technology. As I mentioned, we are gathering data from sensors which basically exist in commercial devices, and we developed and trained algorithms which actually analyzes these markers and delivers analysis which basically mimics the gold standards. We finished a clinical trial with the largest HMO in Israel to establish the initial calculation engine. And we are currently scaling up the process in the US with Cincinnati Children's Hospital. And just to sum up the product side, I'll present you with the old versus the new. So in the current method, using manual questionnaires, usually after a month of active observation, the physician can reach a decision, as I mentioned, using subjective inputs. In the new approach, we offer objective analysis using passive measurements in which one can see the actual treatment effectiveness in many different time layers, in a specific time during the day, the daily curves, ongoing patterns, prediction models, and so on. And by the way, just going back to my son, in the case of ineffective treatment, we would have simply seen a flat daily curve, saving us the never-ending estimation process. A few words about the business. We are targeting the large providers and at the second stage, the payers, with a combined value proposition of not only better caregiving, but also immense cost reduction. The parents are always a valid target in ADHD, and in some cases, they can be targeted by leveraging the reach of the providers. Together with that, we're also examining other potential market segments, but it's a bit too early to elaborate on them yet. The total addressable market is quite large, taking into consideration the overall prevalence and the specific segments we're currently targeting. Cost saving we solidified in the clinical trial and estimated price point. To conclude the presentation, I'll describe our current status. We've done a very, very long kickoff process with lots of validations. We got the initial funding. We also protect the IP. It's currently in national phase. As I mentioned, we concluded clinical trial in Israel and currently scaling it up with Cincinnati Children's, which will be actually our design partner in the US, meaning they will also assist in commercialization. And we're having 2 similar processes in Europe as well. We established a 2.5-year plan for commercialization, which would cost $3 million, with an initial milestone of $900,000 for completing both the MVP and the planned POC at Cincinnati Children's. A few words about the team. In the internal team, we have many years of sales and marketing, product and R&D experience, mostly in medium-sized companies, which some of them afterward exited. Our advisory board includes both physicians and computational biology experts, but aside from them, we're also getting external support from the teams and the providers we are working with. We are looking to raise $900,000, as I mentioned, to both complete the MVP and the POC with Cincinnati Children's Hospital. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Haggai. Well done. Next up is LoopDX, and Dr. John Collins will do our introduction. Meanwhile, I can demonstrate our communication device in case Zoom fails. So Lindsay is way over there. And so no worries, if anything fails, I have the bullhorn from the good old days. Dr. Collins.
Greetings.
Right. Thanks for being with us. Go ahead.
My pleasure. So I said, my name is Dr. John Collins, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at CIMMIT, which is a consortium for improving medicine with innovation and technology. So CIMMIT's a 20-plus-year-old consortium of Boston's premier medical centers and universities, along with a growing network of collaborators. And that's how I came to first work with LoopDX several years ago, when we were supporting a cohort of teams in commercialization from an organization called BioCat in Barcelona. So I've known the team for a while and feel they have all the needed ingredients for success. They're working on a large unmet need for the early detection of sepsis, and have what we know is a very promising technology, which also has the potential to be a platform to address other conditions. But frankly, I think, as we all know, probably even more importantly, the team is strong in the clinical, technical, the critical technical, clinical, and commercial domains. They are passionate about making a difference, and they are driven. But unlike many driven teams that we've worked with, they're also very eager and a sponge for coaching and input, as well as we've seen them really make the most of the healthcare innovation ecosystems in which they engage and connect. So it's a great pleasure for me to introduce LoopDX. I'll turn it over to Enrique.
Thank you, John. Start sharing. Thank you. So I'm Enrique Hernandez, CEO of Loop Diagnostic, the rapid test to effectively diagnose sepsis in the early phase. We are here to talk about sepsis. If you don't know, this condition happens when bacteria infect the bloodstream. 11 million of people every year die because of sepsis. Imagine that we can prevent this. The problem is not the treatment. The problem is to diagnose sepsis early. And this is important because this is difficult because symptoms are very common and are not specific. In fact, all these people in the emergency room might be developing sepsis, but currently we don't have any rapid tests available. Diagnosing this disease in an early phase is critical because the mortality dramatically increases with time. Also, broad-spectrum antibiotics are really effective if used early. The cost of septic treatment increases in the late stage, rising up to $35,000 per patient due to the ICU treatment. The current diagnostics are not clinically acceptable for diagnose sepsis in early phase. Here you can see two examples, one the gold standard, the PCT, the biomarker, and the other another detection pathogen like hemoculture. The current techniques fail because the detection window starts from the 12th hour of bacteria penetrate the blood, and they have low sensitivity in this early detection, less than 30%. We have developed an early diagnostic of sepsis based on the immune response biomarker to saving millions of lives. Our pilot study performed in real patients show that our device have a detection window from the first hours and also have a 90% of sensitivity in this early detection phase. Here you can see our device is the functional MVP device that have two parts. The bottom part is when you mix the reactive with the blood, and the upper part is a lateral flow, similar technology than a pregnancy test, but with our immune response biomarker located. We have a clear regulatory pathway, and also we have already the patent applying. The next phase will be the PCT in June of next year. Also, we are developing a reader to simplify this process because this device is very important to put in the point of care of the near to the patient. Our business model is a B2B, sales via distributor. The estimation price for the disposable will be around $50 to $100. And here you can see an example of business case. A big hospital, Henry Ford, we estimated sales of 20,000 tests per year. And also the saving in ICU, we are estimating around 16 million per year in this hospital. Here you can see the competitors. All the competitors are really useful in this mild or late phase of sepsis in case of organ dysfunction or septic shock, but we are the only one that we claim that we are able to diagnose sepsis in this early phase. Also, we are expanding Loop, our product, across the market and also develop new technology. The initial market that we are addressing is the same market that the procalcitonin biomarker. We are talking about 62 million in US. Then we will move to the emergency room triage. And the next feature will be to add to the device the infection source and the bacterial type, because this is really matter in the antibiotic treatment. So here we have our continuous developer to develop new patent and new technology for the company. We are a multidisciplinary team. Eduardo Guerrero, our business pharmacy with experience in another innovation project and business. Erika Paola, our emergency physician with more than 10 years diagnosing in sepsis in emergency department. And myself, Enrique Hernandez, PhD in immunology and infection disease with more than 30 scientific publications in the area of infection and sepsis. Also, we have an excellent advisory board from different big companies that complement us in the different areas in the company. This is our solid roadmap. Until now, we achieved different public grants to achieve the clinical pilot study, that this is also included this data in the patent, and also the development of the MVP. Right now, for the next year, we are require an investment of 1.3 million to pass the regulatory activity, create new claims de novo for the FDA, and also finish the accuracy clinical trial and finish the industrialization of the reader. We are Loop Diagnostic, early diagnostic of bloodstream infection to save time, save money, and save life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Enrique. And in case you missed it, so we made it from Israel to Spain, and Enrique and Eduardo are in Barcelona. And I did not visit them, but I promised I would visit them, and hopefully they get to come visit us as well. Next up is Reopia Optics. So we're breaking our geographic quiz here for a second. Barry actually lives on the West Coast, but his introducer, we need to get him in the early part of the program. And so we're squeezing in the West Coast and then starting back on the East Coast. Here's Barry, is Dr. Aller. Dr. Aller, thank you for joining us. The floor is yours. You're muted.
It was my 60 seconds. So I've been treating myopia or nearsightedness progression for about 30 years, likely longer than anyone in the world, I'd have to say. I have the first patent for myopia treatment and share several others in myopia lens designs. Now, the most effective treatments for myopia progression include eye drops and specialized contact lenses. Myopia treatments can only slow progression, so it's very important to start early so you have the best final outcome. And often the most rapid growth of the eye occurs the year before the actual onset of myopia. And only an eyeglass could be used in a child who has not yet developed myopia because of the risks associated with other treatments. Now, there are 3 myopia control eyeglasses coming to market, and they've shown some good initial results. Reopia was started by an ophthalmologist with vast experience in medical devices and an optical engineer with multiple patents and lots of innovative ideas. Based on some preliminary human studies, their prototype lenses show great promise. Their designs are unique in the market, are well protected with IP, and require animal testing, human trials, and further refinement. I would encourage support for their efforts to bring products to market which may delay myopia onset, slow its progression, and reduce future visual impairment. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Good afternoon. My name is Barry Linder. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Reopia Optics. As an ophthalmologist and as a parent, I've been frustrated by the number of times children come in year after year and are told they need stronger glasses. Why is that? In the past, children spent their time playing outdoors in the sun, running around. Today, the difference is they may still be outdoors, but whether they're indoors or outdoors, chances are they're on a digital device and they are looking at something up close. The result is a global myopia pandemic. Just how big is this? Today, about a third of the world is myopic, and that is projected to grow to about half of the world's population by the year 2050, or nearly 5 billion people. This is a problem beyond just the expense and inconvenience of poor vision, because about 10% of these myopic cases are at significant risk for blinding complications. The estimates to economic impact on a global scale are huge, measured in the hundreds of billions. So our mission is to prevent nearsightedness and fight the global myopia pandemic. As was just mentioned, the time to do this is in the earliest age possible, so no later than, say, 5 years old. In the US alone, there are 30 million in that age range between 5 and 12, about 9 million of whom already are myopic. And our approach is to deliver a technology that's compatible with current eyeglasses and frames, and of course, to be effective, affordable, safe, and convenient. We will achieve this with two combined mechanisms of action. One is to decrease the myopia causing stimulus. And what our optics will do is to change the optical information to the eye from an indoor image to what is the outdoor environment. The second is to increase the myopia suppression signal, and that is achieved by adding augmented control of signals into the visual environment through our patented optics. Which brings us to how are we different? There are really three classes of treatments: glasses, drops, and contact lenses. When we look at a number of features, Reopia Optics will deliver best-in-class technology. Beyond that, the increase in suppression signal is only available through our technology, and it is patented. We have 3 patent applications, with one of them having just been issued an allowance of our claims, and more IP to come. The stakeholders here, parents and patients, they want to avoid myopia because of the inconvenience, costs, and of course risks. And myopic parents are particularly motivated and are willing to pay up to $1,000 annually in order to prevent myopia in their children. Eye care professionals are also very interested in adding additional myopia prevention options into their armamentarium. And this being synergistic with the sales of glasses makes it a very low barrier for them to begin with our technology. This is a self-pay model. Patients will pay for this directly, and eye care professionals and optical chains will now have an additional attractive new high margin revenue stream. And ultimately, we will seek partnerships with retail chains. Our pricing model is $500 per pair of glasses. On a worldwide scale, this is in the hundreds of billions dollar market. We're going to focus in on about $500 million in the US annually to start with, which are the new cases alone. And the regulatory pathway is fairly straightforward. So our timeline, we're looking at about 1 year with a $1 million financing to conduct preclinical studies, and the model here is chick eyes, optimize the lens design, conduct a pilot clinical study in about 20 subjects, and expand our IP portfolio. The team to achieve this is strong. I have over 10 patents that have been issued and have worked in a variety of healthcare settings and private startup medical device companies. My co-founder, Yan Zhao, has over 60 patents to his name, and again, has worked in a variety of different companies in medical technology. Tom Aller, you just met, worldwide known figure in myopia control with over 10 patents. And Dwight Ackerman has just joined our advisory board. He's the current global editor-in-chief of Review of Myopia Management, and before that was at Alcon, where he developed their strategy for myopia control. So in summary, we are raising $1 million to conduct preclinical studies to collect data, pilot clinical in 10 human subjects, optimize our lens design, and expand our IP portfolio. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. While we're transitioning, I have a tip for everyone. That is, give us some social media love here. HW Pitch Day is the hashtag. Next company up is Echoscope with Michael Schornstein introducing. So I want to see. I just tweeted, so I want to see if we got some people here listening. Yeah, I see Michael and Daryl.
There we are.
All right, Michael, take it away.
Thanks, Hubert. Sorry, guys, I've been having a little technology meltdown here, but I've been a mentor here at Health Wildcatters for 4 to 5 years now, and every now and then you see a piece of technology and an innovation that takes a analog problem and transforms it through technology and takes it into the 21st century. And that's what our friends here at Echoscope have done. Just hitting a few numbers, globally, 423 million adults suffer from incontinence. In the US alone, 37 million have some form of incontinence every day, and every one of them has to self-manage, and plus their medical care providers have to provide them with management opportunities that allow them to live as normal a life as possible, and in some cases to turn around the incontinence and become continent again. When you look at this incontinent management market, it's really stuck in the Stone Age. It's an analog market that's really looking for a technology to transform it and propel it into the 21st century. And that's what our friends here at Echoscope have done. They've created a wearable, non-invasive technology that's digitally linked to an app for chronicling the bladder state in real time. Just like other non-invasive wearable monitors such as pulse oximeters, patients can now manage their issues with simple, user-friendly technology rather than wearing diapers and pads and keeping written diaries. That's very analog, that's very barbaric. That's what the guys at Echoscope are turning around. In short, thanks to Echoscope's wearable technology, the incontinence management market is no longer analog. It is indeed my pleasure to introduce you to Echoscope. Daryl, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks, Michael, for a great introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Daryl Hyun, co-founder and CEO of Echoscope. As a biodesign fellow at Oxford University last year, I researched abilities of daily living, such as toileting, and discovered that incontinence is a common yet very annoying issue. Incontinence is an extremely unpleasant medical condition affecting not only women, but men, the young, the old, and injured people 27. And so-called solutions are primitive. We need a transformational change. We learned that addressing incontinence is not only about keeping them dry or making them feel better about it. Incontinence tremendously reduces the quality of life in many ways. Sufferers don't want to talk about it. It's a stigma. They adjust their schedule around restrooms and constantly locate them, and most end up with pads and diapers rather than focusing on pelvic floor muscle exercise. There's been plenty of management devices for diabetes for decades, but we're far behind using technologies for incontinence, and we need a better management system. Peter Drucker once said, "You cannot manage if you cannot measure." So let's measure and manage incontinence. Echoscope is bladder monitoring enabled by a wearable sensor for both women and men. The sensor tracks bladder activity by its volume on filling and voiding. Severity and frequency of incontinence on our and feedback. We filed a US provisional patent and we're continuing our efforts on product development. On day one, users place our sensor above the pubic bone with underwear or diaper and install our app. During the first week, the sensor acquires bladder activity and begins analyzing filling and voiding patterns. Users continue using our device and receive predictive notification before making accidental urination, and they can start engaging with practitioners. Here's what's happening today. Upon accidental wedding episode, they become embarrassed and shocked about what happened. They deny first and hesitate to seek help because of social stigma. Eventually, their incontinence goes out of control. Then they finally seek help, which leads to a specialist referral and long wait. And before seeing their urologist, they're asked to fill out a voiding diary, which is cumbersome and prone to errors. Doing a proper pelvic floor muscle exercise is not easy. Regaining process, there's not much sufferers can do other than using disposable products, which indicates that self-management is very limited. With Echoscope, we can change sufferers' entire journey. Sufferers will be able to connect with a suitable practitioner in a timely manner and seek professional advice early. Sufferers won't have to write down voiding diary manually anymore. Our users can see a progress of their exercise over weeks and share with specialists without a physical visit. With bladder intelligence, severity, frequency, progress, and notification are visualized. So users now understand what's going on and they can self-manage. And finally, sufferers get notified before embarrassment, so no more worries and regain confidence. Echoscope is the first bladder monitoring technology for mitigating issues in diagnosis, treatment, and self-management of incontinence. In the US and Canada, there are 40 million incontinence sufferers. Currently, incontinence product market is at $2.3 billion and expected to grow 27% by 2025. We project our serviceable addressable market to be $230 million. Customers will be able to purchase our sensor online, out of pocket. Also, a transactional fee will be charged to physical therapists who provide services through our platform. As a remote patient monitoring device, our product will be reimbursable by 5 CPT codes. Our main marketing strategy will be endorsement from professional associations and NPOs. We're currently at TRL 4 and seeking to raise $1 million to complete product development and pilot testing. We have a strong team behind Echoscope. I was a biodesign fellow at Oxford University with experience in medical device R&D for nearly 10 years. Bill, co-founder and CFO, has a CPA and provided professional accounting services. With various expert advisors, we're making life easier for people with incontinence. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Daryl. Well done. And while we're onboarding the next team, let me thank our Twitter aficionados, Sonny Nadolski, Lance Manning, Gail Whitman, Mary Howard, David Kirkpatrick, Adrian Stone, Keith Jacobs, and Jenny Vega have tweeted in the last 5 minutes. So if they can do it, you can do it too. So thank you for giving us, and these teams especially, some publicity here for free. For those of you who missed it, while we're onboarding our next introducer, HW Pitch Day, one word. Next up is Mary Howard, she just tweeted. So Mary is introducing Colonai. And here we go. All right, the floor is yours, Mary. Thank you for being here.
Well, good afternoon, and it's wonderful to be here. I'm Mary Howard. I'm the founder of the eLab NYC program in New York City, along with the ABCT and Westchester County Biosciences Accelerator programs, all in the metro area. We've had the chance to work with over 190 biosciences startups since 2012, and a couple of them have made it to Texas to meet in person with your good program. Half of them are spin-outs of academic research institutes, including Columbia, where Bina and Jacob did their research. Other founders are spin-outs of corporations, including Pfizer, 454, Medtronic, Oscar Health, Roche, Deloitte. We've been very, very fortunate to work with ventures who have hung in there. And I will say that 2020, as everyone has experienced here, was very different. Coming from the New York City area, COVID was a really big challenge in the spring when we had the challenge and the opportunity to work with Bina and her team. One of the things that is very hard to know about a venture is the soft stuff. Do the founders have the backbone to stick with it, to sort out the challenges that inevitably arise for them? You have to have a chance to work with the people to get to know them. I can tell you that this team that's speaking is made of very strong stuff. They have been tested and they not only survived, they've thrived. And that's a real privilege for me to provide this testimony for them. It's my real pleasure to introduce Bina and Colonai to you. Thank you very much, and enjoy hearing them.
Thank you so much, Mary, for that warm welcome. I'm assuming everybody can hear me okay. And I would love to begin sharing our venture with you. Hi, my name is Bina Vansinak. I am CEO and co-founder of Colonai, a second set of eyes for your GI or gastroenterologist. We are devising AI tools for precision colonoscopy in order to reduce the incidence and mortality of colorectal cancer. Colorectal cancer is the second leading cause of cancer-related deaths globally. It is also one of the most preventable and treatable forms of cancer if caught early. Unfortunately, 27% of polyps are missed during colonoscopy and 10% are incompletely removed, leading to post-colonoscopy colorectal cancer. Of post-colonoscopy colorectal cancer cases, 52% are due to missed tumors, 24% are due to new tumors, and 19% are due to incompletely removed tumors. To combat this problem, we've developed two proprietary algorithms, PolypSense and PolypSect. PolypSense provides a bounding box around a polyp or tumor, flagging it for a gastroenterologist, and PolypSect provides a conforming boundary around a polyp or tumor to ensure that it has been completely removed. Our AI-driven imaging solutions add no significant time to procedure, are simple, plug and play, and compatible across scopes. We have validated our solutions on over 3,000 images labeled by gastroenterologists and have a false positive rate of 2.1% and false negative rate of 1.5%. With our sensitivity and specificity metrics, we are confident that we can improve polyp detection by at least 10%. While the majority of colonoscopies are performed in hospitals and ambulatory surgical centers, our initial target market is within ambulatory surgical centers, as these have the highest volume of colonoscopies. For example, here in Texas, 80% of colonoscopies are performed in ambulatory surgical centers. Therefore, we have teamed up with the GI Alliance, the largest physician-led network of gastroenterologists in the country, with over 400 physicians in the Southwest and Midwest regions of the United States for a feasibility study. And we are working with Westside GI and Ambulatory Surgical Center in New York City for our pilot study. We plan to charge $25 per colonoscopy based on our closest market comparable EndoCuff, which also improves polyp detection. Our solution is a win-win for both the patient and the gastroenterologist, because for every 10% increase in polyp detection, there's a 30% decreased risk of cancer for the patient, 50% overall decreased risk of mortality. And for the physician, there's upwards of an 18% increase in revenue, which equates to an additional $260,000 in reimbursement. Our total addressable market is $1.2 billion based on the 48 million colonoscopies performed globally and our revenue model. Our serviceable obtainable market is $475 million based on the 19 million colonoscopies performed in the US. And our serviceable obtainable market is $197 million based on the percentage of gastroenterologists we confidently feel that we can capture according to our sales cycle and our adoption curve by the end of 2025. We are the only company that's pursuing not only the first, but the second leading cause of post-colonoscopy colorectal cancer. We are also developing a high-risk tumor detection module for the 1.7 million Americans with ulcerative colitis and Crohn's, such as myself, who are an exclusion criteria to our competitors. We have validated our solutions and business case with over 50 gastroenterologists in 3 key geographic areas: the greater New York City area, the greater Houston area, and the greater LA area. And an overwhelmingly 95% saw a need for both of our algorithms to help improve the quality of their colonoscopy. We've begun dialogues with the global M&A lead at Olympus, and they've found our product offerings to be of interest. We are also being mentored by the Associate Research Director of the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. Our team has strong biomedical engineering backgrounds in neuroimaging and deep learning from Columbia University, and we're currently engaging with KOLs and gastroenterologists as we grow. Our advisors have a diverse set of domain expertise and collectively have over 25 years of sales and marketing experience at J&J, are affiliated with New York Presbyterian Brooklyn Methodist Hospital, and lead scientific innovation in biomedical engineering at Columbia University. Currently, we're refining our product development and working on our IP with our pilot study site, Westside GI in New York City. We hope in Q1 and Q2 of 2021, we'll be able to raise enough seed funding to fully engage with the GI Alliance for the feasibility study. In 2022, we hope to seek pre-market notification 510K for the FDA and have our first year of commercial sales in the last quarter of 2022. Our current asks are for clinical partnerships and investments. We're seeking clinical partnerships with letters of intent from gastroenterologists for additional pilot study sites and larger trials, any co-development opportunities that might be available, and are seeking seed funding of 500K to $1 million to finance our ongoing and future studies. Thank you so much for your time, and can be reached at any of the following addresses.
Thank you, Bina. And the little timer you heard there was the 5-minute mark, and she got it within seconds of 5 minutes. So well done. Not that we wouldn't let you go over by a few seconds today. So well done, Bina. Next up is Karyosoft, introduced by John Hennick. And oh, there he is already. Perfect. I have not checked in on where all the locations of our introducers are. I mean, I'm just adding, we're working our way from the East Coast over. So Bina is in New York and Daryl is in Boston. John, I don't know where you are. I know Rajesh is in Indianapolis.
I'm joining you from Indianapolis as well.
Excellent. Take it away.
Well, thank you, and hello, everybody. My name is John Hannick, and I'm the managing director of Purdue Ventures and a co-founder of the Purdue Foundry, the startup hub at Purdue University. Purdue Ventures is the seed fund and portfolio manager of the Purdue Research Foundation's 4 seed funds, and also includes the portfolio of earlier investments that we've made in startups over the years. While we're ranked as the 10th largest venture investment entity in the state of Indiana, I think what's more important is that our portfolio companies have raised in excess of $450 million over the past 7 years, which also coincides with the duration of the Purdue Foundry. It gives me great pride today to introduce you to one of our star entrepreneurs and founders, Rajesh Periyanayagam, the founder and CEO of Karyosoft. I first met Rajesh almost 3 years ago when Karyosoft was in its earliest formation days. Coffee at Starbucks quickly ensued, and I encouraged Raj to apply to our Ag Funds Accelerator program. Karyosoft has since become a vital part of our entrepreneurial ecosystem at the Purdue Foundry. And we've made 2 investments in Karyosoft since then through the same Accelerator Fund. We're increasingly excited about the wide market reach and potential of Karyosoft's genomics intelligence software platform. So without further ado, here is Rajesh.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes, Raj, please go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, John, for your kind introduction. My name is Rajesh Periyanayagam. I'm the founder and CEO of Karyosoft. Karyosoft's genomics intelligence data management platform empowers life scientists to effectively manage, democratize, and transform vast amount of cluttered genomics data into meaningful insights within their on-premise or cloud environment. Today, scientists are generating a large amount of genomics data to find innovative solutions for global problems such as human health, animal health, and more in life sciences. The amount of genomics data being generated every year is 20 to 40 times larger than the data generated by YouTube and Twitter. As a scientist, when I did research, I struggled every day to manage all the genomics data I was generating for my research, mainly because our institutions did not have suitable tools. Also, as a scientist who spent 3 decades in life sciences, faster access to my genomics data and insights are very critical to make informed decisions, which I did not have. Also, our institution had only fewer analysts to support all my needs, which added a lot of recurring costs to my organization. All these personal problems were inspiration for starting Karyosoft. I was not alone in this struggle. There are hundreds and thousands of scientists are going through this problem every day in their organization. As you can clearly see, the current scenario affects scientists' innovation potential and organizations' R&D efficiency and time to market. That is why we created Karyosoft. Our platform seamlessly integrates into clients' existing workflow and make their workflow smoother. Using our platform, scientists can manage hundreds and thousands of genomes through user-friendly interface and mine billions of genomics data points within few seconds. In essence, we make complex genomics data management and mining very simple for the scientists. Our platform ensures higher data integrity, saves millions of dollars through increased efficiency in productivity, and accelerates time to market. We are unique in several ways compared to our competitors. For example, data security is very important for our clients. That's why we chose a suitable backend technologies in our platform so that our clients can manage hundreds and billions of genomics data points within their on-premise or custom cloud environment. As you can see, in many ways, we complement our competitors rather than competing with them. Although our market spans various verticals in life sciences, we plan to start with AgTech companies mainly because of my extensive background in that domain, which amounts our target market size of up to close to $500 million a year. And we plan to expand our market size to market to other verticals in life sciences, such as pharma biotech companies. That will expand our market size to over $1 billion a year. We offer annual subscription licensing to our clients. One of our revenue streams is through direct sales. Our end users are life scientists conducting genomics research in industries, academia, institutes, and federal entities. Our second revenue stream is through strategic partnership. We serve the needs of the same end users by partnering with the sequencing companies, genomic CROs, cloud providers, and more in life sciences. As you can see, we have more business opportunities than what we are currently working on. We are proud of our accomplishments to date. We made significant progress in product development, traction increase, fundraising, and team expansion. We will continue making progress in those areas for the next 3 years, especially in the product development and traction increase. At the end of the year, we hope to generate a revenue of up to $3.8 million, which might look small, but as you can see, genomics analytics companies like ours in that revenue range are getting acquired with the 50x return of investment. So we are optimistic that we give better return of investment to our investors. Our team is the greatest strength. Our team has extensive expertise on genomics, software development, sales, marketing, and finance with a combined more than 100 years of experience. In short, our team has required expertise to build a successful startup company. And this is the first time we are entering into healthcare and pharma biotech domain. through Health Wildcatters Accelerated Program, we learned that the application of genomics in these domains are rapidly increasing, especially on the healthcare side. So your introduction to key people in this domain would help us to achieve our business goals. In conclusion, we are Karyosoft. We bring the genomics data to the fingertips of the scientists and empower the scientists to discover innovative solutions for the global problems in life sciences faster. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh. And so I guess this is the more modern version of Looking Glass in computer fashion. So our next introducer is Gail Whitman, introducing digital immunity. We'll see if Gail comes on here. This is actually a magnifying glass I use at home. I just don't. Found it in an antique shop. So let's see if Gail is online here. Here we go. All right, I can see you. Sorry, there you go. We can see you. All right, Gail, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Great. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. As a clinician scientist and a former healthcare executive at the Cleveland Clinic and the American Heart Association, I've experienced the impact that external environmental forces can have on a company, including the inevitable disruptions that happen during the annual flu season. You know, I recall wincing every time I would receive a message coming across my desk from human resources during that season, because I knew it was them telling me we had a large number of staff sick calls. Those staff illnesses alone were concerning, but in addition, we now needed to figure out how to keep the care going and business flowing. And this same scenario plays out across all types of business: service, retail, manufacturing, distribution, etc. It's a challenge to run any business with that type of uncertainty. And that uncertainty resonates even more today with COVID and in the future with other viruses. Digital immunity provides a solution to this uncertainty. It provides a protection, a shield, in a way, a digital vaccine to give companies digital immunity. And so with that, I'm very pleased to present to you Mark Bullard, who is the CEO of Digital Immunity. So take it away, Mark.
Gail, thank you so much for that warm welcome and for being such a great mentor through the program. I'm going to share my screen here. Hi, my name is Mark Bullard. I'm founder and CEO of Digital Immunity. Our startup is utilizing advanced technology to enable companies and employees to work together to combat infectious disease in the workplace. There's a focus on the flu, common cold, and COVID-19. So this is by no means a new problem, but it has been brought to the forefront by a global pandemic on a scale not seen in over 100 years. So despite tremendous advances in many areas of medicine, we are still essentially employing the same methods today as we did in 1918 to combat large-scale outbreaks. And some would say we're doing none of the above very well. So what has changed with the COVID disruption is that the expectations and necessity for businesses to address infectious disease in the workplace has changed drastically. So let's just take a quick step back and try to get a sense of the scale of the issue. So prior to COVID-19, primarily only healthcare providers meaningfully dealt with infectious disease in the workplace. This might account for roughly 30,000 establishments represented here. The post-COVID number represents the total number of businesses in the US with a physical establishment and at least one employee. This is estimated at over 7.7 million entities, ranging from mom and pop stores to largest corporations. Any of these companies that require in-person contact also have to deal at some level with the threat of infectious disease. So this represents a completely new market that didn't really exist less than a year ago. The challenge is that while digital solutions have been developed for the healthcare setting, very few tools, or more importantly, systems, have been developed specifically for businesses to address the problem, where culture, environment, and needs are very different from a healthcare setting. So among HR managers, this is a very well-known problem. Flu accounts for over 20 billion lost productivity every year, and surprisingly, the common cold is even more at over 25 billion, with a total of over 225 billion lost productivity due to infectious disease. Obviously, not only productivity is lost, but in some cases, we see serious long-term health implications for employees that could have been prevented. So we have developed a suite of tools that help businesses work with employees to track and take action on a variety of infectious disease risk factors. So, for example, this includes a personal wellness portal that allows employees to interact with the system and receive recommendations, updates, alerts, as well as modules to help mitigate travel risk, track vaccination and testing status, report symptoms, and provide other valuable information. So all this data is then aggregated to provide automated personal recommendations, as well as anonymized top-down metrics that management can use to reduce their company's risk profile. All is done extremely rapidly with the capability to assess an organization of thousands of employees exponentially faster than traditional methods. So the payoff is an actual win-win scenario. Advantages to increase wellness in the workplace are many and well proven and include higher employee satisfaction and productivity, while also improving bottom line for the organization. We will be working directly with businesses and also partnering with corporate wellness programs to provide company-wide solutions that combine our system with other holistic approaches. We've been working beta software that is beyond the prototype phase, a highly secure database solution. We've conducted a successful pilot with DFW business executives and are now in conversations with initial trial candidates who will hopefully convert to paying customers. So in the short term, we'll be offering this suite of tools. Going down the road, we'll be investing in predictive analytics. This will enable us to develop valuable IP and actually start to get in front of infectious disease and closer to achieving true digital immunity. Our team gives us a unique advantage. I have a lifelong involvement in technology, also a background in film and television, and attended UT Austin as a National Merit Scholar. Also, I'm based here in Dallas and I'm currently officing at Health Wildcatters. Adnan Shabandar is a winner of multiple programming awards, including 2019 Hack DFW. Gregory Markham is a former Assistant Director of Information for NATO with experience organizing very large personnel operations. Kaz Milner, an accomplished physicist, founder, and Capital Factory mentor, and Yeshwat Nuasami has a background in AI with companies like Samsung and Toyota. So what we're asking of you today is to get in contact with me at the email address below if you or someone you know might fall into one of these categories. Trial partner, your organization is interested in helping innovate and be part of the solution of one of the major challenges of our time, please get in touch. Early customers, first access to unique technology, and we will be investing our own resources in customizing the solution for your particular needs with extremely discounted rates going forward. If you're a potential investor, let's start the conversation. We're going to market and hope to be seeing first revenue very soon. We're primarily looking to contact with seed and Series A investors. So contact me at the email address below, and that's also listed in the emailed program. Thank you again for your time and for learning about digital immunity. I look forward to future conversations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And also all of you who have registered should have received an email right about when we got started or shortly before that has the program for today in it as well. Probably most of you have caught on to that already, but in any case, it also has the contact information for all the startups that are presenting today in it. So next up is Spectrum Disinfection, and the introducer is Shlomo Harnas, and the presenter is Rob Ailing. And here is Shlomo. So Shlomo, the floor is yours. Just unmute yourself and you're good to go.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shlomo Harnas, and I'm Managing Director of Acrolith. I work on evaluating opportunities for licensing and acquisition in the life sciences, pharma, biotech, and medical devices. And I also work with startups, including those here at Health Wildcatters, with strategic and business planning to prepare for the road ahead. So it's my pleasure to introduce a company that to me stands out, even across my range of experience, in the way it truly embodies the reason we're all here today. This is a team that's working to address a crucial and widespread need, both medical and societal, and especially in the days of COVID. They're applying their considerable technical, industry, and entrepreneurial expertise towards a truly innovative approach to overcome the technological limitations of the present day and to really fulfill the needs of the market. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Rob Ailing, CEO of Spectrum Disinfection.
Rob, you're still muted.
Thank you, Shlomo. That was a wonderful introduction, and thank you for your help and mentorship. I'm Rob Ayling, and I'm the founder and CEO of Spectrum Disinfection. Before COVID came along, hey, I'm Rob Ayling, and I'm the founder and CEO of Spectrum Disinfection. Before COVID came along, 1 in 4 deaths were caused by infectious diseases, and now consumers are really aware of the importance of disinfection and that surface disinfection is really the best way to keep themselves safe. However, for a long time, consumers have been looking for products that are safe to use and better for the environment. Chlorine dioxide is a widely used industrial disinfectant. It's used as an immediate use disinfectant. It's used to disinfect the water we get from municipal water systems, breweries, livestock processing, wineries, and so forth. However, until now, it's always suffered from a major limitation, in that once in solution, it is unstable and it is unable to be stored or transported in solution. We discovered and patented methodologies to give chlorine dioxide shelf life. So this means we can now take chlorine dioxide into the consumer and commercial markets. Our product positioning, our underlying technology, and the portfolio of products that we can develop are highly competitive over the likes of Lysol and Clorox. Why do I mention those companies? Well, together they represent a duopoly in the disinfection industry. And while consumers have for a long time given them good marks for effective disinfection, they've never been able to take that brand equity and translate it into safe and effective. On the other hand, our technology platform allows us to develop a whole suite of products that are both effective and safe to use. And so the first time, consumers will be able to buy our brand knowing they have effective disinfectants, they have products that are safe to use and safe for the environment. This slide tells you intuitively, taking 10 reasonably objective standards, that our platform is simply superior to that of Clorox and Lysol. So when we say we have an unfair competitive advantage, this slide tells you why. The disinfecting market is 20 billion and growing. The legacy brands have spent most of the last few years, in fact, longer than that, focused on sales, marketing, and distribution at the expense of innovation. We represent the innovation they should have pursued. And so another way of saying what is our competitive advantage is that we have a superior technology, but we also have a product that is completely aligned with the needs of modern consumers when it comes to buying disinfecting products. Our first products will be sold directly to the consumer through e-commerce, but because we will not have our own manufacturing capability, we expect to sell into brick and mortar through the distribution channels of our co-packer. We need to raise $500,000 to $750,000 in seed funding to do that. In 18 to 24 months, we expect to raise a venture round, our only venture round, of $2.5 to $5 million, and that will go to build out our EPA labels, a full suite of products to sell into brick and mortar, into the commercial market and institutional healthcare. If we raise that funding, we can get to $100 million in sales in 5 years. Not only do we have a superior technology, but we have a management team that's totally capable of executing on the opportunity before us. In particular, Chris Spillett and Steve Kong are PhD chemists with over 50 years of product development, R&D, regulatory, and marketing at the Clorox company. Ryan Schemmel has 18 years of consumer packaged goods sales, marketing, and e-commerce experience at the Lysol company. And Ed Harris and I are serial entrepreneurs with a good track record of startups, venture capital, private equity, and successful exits. We're looking for $500,000 to $700,000 in convertible note funding, and we thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Rob. And no, we didn't overshoot. Rob is in Denver, so we went from Dallas, Indianapolis, Dallas, Denver. even though he can fool you. And he's actually from New Zealand originally, long time ago. But no, this time we don't extend that far. But by virtue of immigration, we got Rob, and we're richer for it. So now we're on to our last startup of this afternoon, and that is Firstlook AI. Ashish is located on the West Coast. I had the pleasure of meeting him and several of our other entrepreneurs on the West Coast, including Barry, on the traveling pitch practice that led us to Indianapolis, Boston, Denver, and San Francisco. So, but first things first, I have Harriet Flowers here. Thank you, Harriet, for introducing our last startup of 2020 Pitch Day.
Sure. Well, for more than 20 years, I've focused on products that deliver efficiency and accuracy to revenue cycle operations. I've lived the evolution, commercial contract payment and audit, reference-based pricing, value-based payments, products that are core technologies today for InThrive, Vizient, and Payer Compass. I've been a founding partner, CEO, board member, but today, in my role as early investor, I'm happy to introduce Firstlook AI. They easily check all the boxes for a great idea. It's sophisticated, but conceptually simple. It identifies inefficiencies in claims operations, plus it offers the seamless solution to those inefficiencies. But the bigger predictor of success from an investor's perspective is, can they execute the great idea? And yes, Firstlook's entire team is made up of successful serial entrepreneurs. I'm pleased to introduce Ashish Basure, CEO of Firstlook AI.
Ashish, I can't hear you. You're unmuted, but maybe it's disconnected somewhere.
Okay, can you hear me?
That's much better.
Much better. Okay, thank you, Harriet, for that kind introduction. And I am excited to tell you all today about how our unique technology can save time and money for payers and providers through intelligent claims processing, through intelligent automation in the claims processing space. Now, if you were to talk to CFOs on both sides of the healthcare space, they would say that they would like to reduce inefficiencies and increase transparency. However, on the provider side, that might look like decreasing outstanding AR, while on the payer side, it might look like reducing the cost per unit claim. However, the market is telling a very different story, with nearly $250 billion of claims initially denied every year, $500 billion in claims processing costs every year, and most importantly, artificial intelligence struggling to digest complex medical data, meaning that implementations are slow to the tune of months and expensive to the tune of $100,000 and more. That being said, the total addressable market for the revenue cycle management space is a healthy $100 billion and growing at double-digit rates every year. So what are we going to do that's going to solve this problem? Firstlook has developed a unique layer-on technology that is able to seamlessly digest messy and complex medical and claims data and produce actionable outcomes and solutions. This algorithm was designed, tested, and validated using 30 million patients over 40 years of longitudinal data and thousands of providers. So how that might look for providers using our service would be increased billing code accuracy, predicting appeals and arbitration success ratios and denials, and reducing fraud, waste, and abuse, which is something that payers may also find interesting, in addition to increasing their audit accuracy and supporting underwriting for their policies. Let's take some real-world examples on how this might actually play out. This is Dr. Sandy. She's a very busy dermatologist, and she sees this patient for acne and folliculitis. She doesn't have time to figure out all the logistics of the claims data and the billing code, so she puts in these 2 CPTs and moves on to the next patient. Luckily, she installed our software, which has automatically optimized the billing codes and found some supplies that she missed associated with those CPTs. In addition, she detected we detected 2 denial reasons that we automatically corrected for her. In this particular scenario, we have prevented Dr. Sandy losing 15% due to undercoding herself, and we've saved her 3 hours of time that she can now spend with patients. On the flip side of this scenario, we have Stan working at a large insurance company in the auditing department. He's got a lot of work to do and he doesn't know where to start. Luckily, our software has triaged his workflow, pushing the cases that are likely to be denied to the top of his case load while removing those that are likely to not have any issue and moving them to the bottom. We also identified a few unusual billing practices, which in this case resulted in saving that organization thousands of dollars as it was identified as fraud and saving Stan 50 hours of his time. Now, when we talk about our value proposition, we're not a traditional piece of software that uses rules to do anomaly detection. And we're something different than deep learning artificial intelligence, which may or may not be able to manage that messy or unstructured data. What we are is a layer-on technology that seamlessly integrates into any workflow and is approximately 80% cheaper and about 12 times faster than any other AI on the market for implementation. In addition, we provide transparency into the algorithm's outputs, meaning it's not a black box solution and it provides actionable outcomes or automatically fixes problems as it finds them. Based on pilot data, we anticipate a 3.5-fold increase in personnel efficacy, as well as being 15% better than other AIs in the space. And speaking to the competition, we'd like to position ourselves at a very high capability and low implementation cost compared to our non-AI enabled competitors, which tend to have lower capabilities to us and much less expensive to implement than our AI enabled competition that may or may not be able to achieve the same capabilities as us. We are seeking $1.5 million in a seed round to scale the business primarily through business development. We are also keen to identify insurance and hospital partners to scale the technology even further. We come from an experienced team of entrepreneurs with over 30 years of management and healthcare consulting, 20 years of B2B sales, and a deep understanding of artificial intelligence for the healthcare space. We are Firstlook AI, and I welcome you to join us on our journey.
Thank you, Ashish, and thank you for closing us out today. It's been a great last 3 months. It's amazing how well you can connect with these startups, even though you're frankly not meeting them, unless it was in my case for the traveling pitch practice. I've never met them and really got to know them well and look forward to times when we can meet in person. If you want to connect with us, find our Health Wildcatters Pulse membership on our website to always be a VIP here. If you know a startup, connect with us and introduce us to that startup, please. If you are a mentor, we thank you for being part of this community. We thank our investors, our sponsors, our introducers today, and of course, in my case, Lindsay keeps me going here. And most importantly, our startups. So what these folks are doing, ladies and gentlemen, isn't easy. If it were easy, everybody would be doing it. It is incredibly hard, and to boot, they picked to have a startup not just in this environment, but a startup in healthcare. So know that if you have an ability to help them in any way, that you can have an impact on each of those individuals. If you're not in our region, then find an entity like ours in your neighborhood, in your backyard, and get involved. We can have a tremendous impact with these 9 startups that presented here today. But as you know, there are many, many more out there that could use your help. So thank you for being here today. Cheers. Cheers to our startups for well done on your pitches. And cheers to all of you that spent your afternoon with us here on Zoom. Looking forward to doing this in person soon, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you.